guys a little breakdown. Now, I'm not a boxer, but I've been hearing things out there, and I just wanted to set the record straight on certain things because I realize that some people they have their own opinions of things, and that's cool. But facts are facts, and opinions are opinions. Okay, and the fact of the matter is that some of the things they've been saying it's actually wrong. Now, I respect Uncle Robert and his channel, and I love his technical, like fundamentals, little tips on how to jab and all of that kind of stuff, how to throw a jab and stuff like that. But when it comes to certain things in boxing, I realize either he don't grasp it or he miss it, and it's okay. All right. Now I broke down that fight between Tank and Barrios. Barrios is not your run of the mill kind of boxer, and I'm glad that a boxer actually brought this up because I've been saying it all along, but I explained it to certain people. But for some reason, for some reason, they think my channel is crazy because I guess my hair or how I appear. But I'm not crazy, and what I tell you guys really is real stuff. I'm not a boxer. All right, I do a little boxing, but I'm not a boxer. But you see these things, and when you see it, you have to know what you're seeing. So let me give you guys a little perspective. I'll actually demonstrate it a little bit, um, and show y'all what Barrios was doing in there. So David Benavidez said the same thing that I had said. David Benavidez said Mario Barrios, one of the clever things he was doing in there was fainting. Okay, I'm gonna explain something to you guys why Tank was able to catch Mario Barrios. Like I said before, I called it the untelegraphed jab. It's not exactly that, but Barrios would shoot the jab and he shoot it at the right time, and it was something that was difficult for Tank to deal with um, because it was unpredictable. And then it was also put at the right time. What I mean by that is, let's say Tank was trying to close the distance, Barrios knew how to place that jab perfectly to actually hit Tank or to get Tank to stop because Tank would try to bob and weave, get past the jab, get past the trajectory of the jab, slip it or, try to roll back on it. And Barrios, oh, that jab was always in his face. And Barrios be stepping back, throwing the jab. Okay? Okay. Now, Barrios is doing some textbook stuff. Now I'm a southpaw, so I'll be in the southpaw stance if I'm throwing my shots. I'll be in the southpaw stance. Okay. But Barrios is an orthodox fighter, so he be here. Barrios got that classic, uh, shell defense. He also got the high guard. He got beautiful stance. The own that Barrios works off of timing, so he's really good with his timing. He's really good with his foot placement. He puts himself properly through the ring. Barrios is a well-rounded, really skilled fighter. I explained to Coach Robert before when Tank tried to say, close the distance and get past Barrios' jab, or even when he's trying to touch jab Barrios, he's touch jabbing him, touch jabbing him, trying to keep the jab at home. See, if I touch your jabbing hand, it keeps your jabbing hand at home, right? You got the jabbing hand here, and I'm coming right here, and I'm touching your jab, okay? Touching your jab to keep it at home. I'm also figuring out how far away I am from you, right? All of those things you're doing. I just watching Carl Frampton versus Scott Quigg, and Frampton was able to keep Quigg's hands at home because he kept on touching him, and at the same time, sometimes stiff arm him out here, okay, and then he keep on touching him, right, as he pivoted. So that was one of the things Javante tried to do. But what did Barrios do to counteract that? Okay, so if you are, again orthodox stance. Barrios Barrios is about to throw his jab, right? He's got the eye guard defense, right? He's about to throw his jab, and I touch it, and I touch it, right? I'm touching it so he doesn't throw it. So what do I do? What do I do? Pop, boom, right? I throw the hook. I hook him around the jab. Now his hook Barrios' hook was a little wide, but he's hooking while he's pivoting. So you touch me, I'm about to step and pivot, and I hook around it, okay, as I'm pivoting. Notice I pivot on, well, you can't see me pivot, but I'm pivoting as I hook it, okay? So you touch me, I'll hook you, okay? You touch me, I'll hook you, okay? There's a little delay in the feed, so it is what it is. So basically, Tank can't close the distance because Barrios is throwing a hook off the jab so that Tank will stop touching it. But what is Tank doing? So I'm in the southpaw stance again. I touch you. Well, after I touch the jab, I'm always ready to snap back. Okay? I'm always ready to snap back out of the way of your jab. Right? I'm walking to you like this. And yet I'm touching you here. I'm touching you out here. Touching you out here. But I'm snap back. I'm snap back. You can't see my feet, but I'll put it on the side view for you to see. So I'm here. I'm leaning back like this. And I'm inching in. And I'm touching you. And I'm off to the side. I dip off to the side. I dip off to the side. Okay? I dip off to the side. Okay? And I'm inching in. And I'm touching you. I'm touching you. And I'm touching you. Okay? So when he comes with the hook, I dip up, I dip down under the hook, or I swivel off the hip, hook the hook. I swivel off it. I swivel under and off it and to the right. Okay? And if I'm a southpaw, I can swivel off it, off to the right. Watch out for the right hand. If I need to swivel back the other way, or if I need to slip the other way. Okay? And if I see, and because Tank has quickness, I can throw a spear jab. I can throw a spear jab off it. Okay? All right. Anyway, going back to what we were saying. So, what Tank was doing was that. What was Barrios doing? He's staying away from the power hand, and he's jabbing, and he's using that really good footwork. He jabs, and he pivots. He's jabbing and he's pivoting. Kind of like Luke Campbell versus Lomachenko, but that was two southpaws, and it was a different bit of dynamics. But Luke Campbell was doing the same thing. Nice wide stance, good pivot work. I'm jabbing, but I'm jabbing when necessary. I'm jabbing when necessary. I'm jabbing to keep you off. I'm jabbing to walk you down. And now I pop that jab at a regular rhythm. I call it the untelegraphed jab, but really it's awful faint. So I'll give you an example. So here I am pivoting, and most times when people are about to jab or throw a punch, they ready themselves, and then they throw it, right? Well, Barrios, he do the same thing. He give you a foot feint, shoulder feint. Sometimes he even give you a head feint. He give you an eye feint. So he's going to throw, right? So he does this if he's going to throw, and then what does he do? Pop, right? So he does this if he's going to throw. He doesn't throw then, and then he pops it at. And he throws these irregular jabs. You can see Barrios been working on it. You can tell Virgil Hunter was working with him on the jab. They kept the textbook. They decided, I'm not going to circle to the power hand and just stay out of range. So Tank was the one dictating that. Tank, from the initial opening bell, Tank came out there and established that I'm circling to your power hand. Okay? And so Tank did that. And that's something that you would see guys like Floyd, Teofimo Lopez, Manny Pacquiao, Canelo Alvarez. They all circle to the power hand. Now, what they teach you in, the traditional boxing is you circle away from the power hand. So you guys like Timothy Bradley, Mikey Garcia, those guys circle away from the power hand, and then they box you to the weak side because you can't catch them with the power hand there. So what Barrios was doing was textbook. Now, Tank's corner realized that he wanted circling off to the power hand side, circling outside. So like if you had to do an escape route, like if I'm popping you here, I'm popping you here, but I need to circle out. So I'm gonna circle out this way. I'll circle out this way. Again, you guys can't exactly see what I'm saying, but if I could show myself in 3D space, that would be great. So you can see my footwork and everything. You can see me entirely. But here I am. I'm gonna show you guys again. I'm going this way. If you look at me, I'm circling this way. I'm pivoting this way. Small pivots, but I'm pivoting this way around the ring. When I'm ready to really do a nice pivot, I do a 90-degree pivot or 45-degree pivot. I do so, and I get out the corner, right? But I'm mostly going. I'm going clockwise around the ring. I'm going to my left. Now, what Coach Calvin realized was that Barrios was only going to his left. He wasn't bothering to go to his right. Okay? That's what Coach Calvin picked up. You understand? That was the one thing. It's not that Mario Barrios can't go to his right. It's that Mario Barrios was doing the textbook thing. And Coach Calvin picked that up. And even when Tank was putting the heat on um, Mario Barrios, he kept on circling to his right. He did never once turn and try and circle to his I'm sorry, he was circling to his left, sorry. He never once tried to circle to his right. So Coach Calvin saw that and he was like, that's right for the right hook. Because what he's trying to circle away from is Tank's power hand, which is the left hand. And he's forgetting that Tank has a right hook. So he was saying Barrios is open for the right hook. Now, it's not that Barrios didn't have his guard up as he's circling, right? It's not that he didn't have sorry, he has his guard up here for the right hand, right? Right? He has his shoulder for the left hook. But here's what happens. Barrios is a tall guy. So when he's jabbing downward, which kind of leaves this side exposed a little bit. But you got to set it up. And what Coach Calvin was trying to do was get Tank to go to the body. He was trying to get him to work the body, and Tank was kept on stealing shots down low. So he would shoot the straight left. He would shoot the straight left to the body. So Tank, when he was doing that little game of keep your hand at home game, the battle of the jab kind of thing that was going on, trying to keep it. Because, see, what you have to understand is when you meet a really good jabber, you have to disarm. All right? And Tank realized, and I think Tank realized it before Coach Calvin, this guy, I got to put a heat on him. I literally have to rush him. I have to put the heat on him. I have to put pressure on him. Because if he's pressuring me and going back, he do whatever he wants. Because his jab is unpredictable. And Coach Robert is saying that Barrios had a predictable jab. That is not true at all. Okay? That's not true at all. In fact, Barrios was catching Tank with the jab a number of times. Okay? Tank was obviously still blocking and rolling up. These guys, man, they got such quick twitch muscles. I think Floyd and all these guys, Chanel and all these guys, they could actually roll up on you. So like, I could be coming in here and just keep my guard up and just kind of roll, swivel back, swivel back on you. So I'm coming like, okay, I'm coming from this angle, right? So I rush in and then I swivel up. I swivel back on you. See, I slide in, but I swivel back. So you catch me with these shots, boop, 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 3-4 punch combination. But I swivel back. I'm so quick. I got that quickness that I can make the adjustment, like Pacquiao when he's rushing in, right? You see Pacquiao coming in, blah, 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 and he pulls back, right, with the double guard, right? So that's something that's just special. We call that special, God gifted. The guys are quick. That was the one thing Barrios still had to deal with was the speed of Tank. And Virgil Hunter realized that. Okay, he's a timing guy. Remember, he's a timing guy. The timing guys like Marquez, like Floyd, timing guys are deadly because they time you, and that's what Barrios was doing. He was timing Tank. There was nothing. He was like a sharpshooter. If Tank tried to do something, bam, that jab is in his face. Okay. Then before you can think twice, a left hook is in his face. You know what I'm saying? Barrios is a bad boy, and he knows how to go top to bottom, work the head and the body. That's why I said this guy's going to become world champion again. Mark my words. Who knows? Somewhere in the future, I think Barrios is a big dude. I don't think Tank and Barrios will ever meet again. But that's a big win for Tank. I'm telling you, this guy's going to become, Barrios is going to become a great fighter. All right? He's going to learn volumes from this fight. Besides getting his speed up and his strength up, Barrios is a guy that's smart, and he boxes real smart. That's why he won rounds against Tank. Now, as I said before, that's a Baltimore fighter. So not only did Barrios show that, but he also showed something else. Barrios showed us that besides his timing's great. I mean, he got that off-rhythm beat. He got that little shuffle. He can slide in. He's a big dude, but he's kind of he can work the body. He reminded me of David Benavidez, how he throws combinations on the outside. So he's a long-range guy, but he can throw a body shot from the outside, and you can't catch him because he's pulling back with the jab after that. He always finished everything off with a jab. Virgil been doing a great job with this kid. Just experience, experience. Um, Maybe never having a fighter really pressure him like that because he usually uses height, reach, length. Um, but so Tank to take away when Tank realized he couldn't take it away anyway, he went Sugar Ray Leonard on the dude. Okay, he went Sugar Ray Leonard on the dude, and he kept his hands up and he started walking to him. Okay, and he was really putting the heat on. But before he did that, he did his homework. So in the early rounds, he's on the back foot. Barrios is pushing him back. He's watching the angles. He's testing that jab, trying to keep it at bay. He's trying to neutralize that jab in different ways. And he's also trying to pick his shots to throw the lead left to the body, throw the lead to the head where he sees it available, open shots, right? In the meantime, Barrios is the hunter. He's hunting him down, but he's not overextending himself. He's not overreaching. He's not going beyond his lead foot here, but instead he's staying there. He's staying composed. He's balanced and staying behind that jab, staying behind that stick, and he ain't throwing the stick just any old time. Sometimes he got the sticks hoist here. Sometimes he has it up here to fire it down real quick. Okay, he's mixing up the stick. You know, sometimes he throw the lead right, which I'm off of. So let me go southpaw for you. You throw the lead right off the stick, or sometimes he don't throw no stick. He don't throw no 1-2. You know, sometimes he hook off the stick. Sometimes he throw the uppercut to the body, right? He's doing his different things, mixing it up. Again, brilliant boxing. So he's not very predictable. Tank, in the meantime, is trying to control that stick because he realizes Barry got an educated stick. And he throws the stick different ways. So he's like, okay, the timing of the stick, Barry's throwing different rhythms. Sometimes you just pop the stick out there real quick, whap, right? Real quick, whap. Just throw the stick. Next time, he got that, boom, hold it out there, and you just kind of pour it out there, and they pull it back in. Okay, so he's doing different things with the stick. All right, so Tank's like, I got to get rid of the stick because this stick is gonna be a problem. I got to get rid of this stick. And he was almost doing a Vladimir Klitschko kind of thing on Tank at certain points in time where the stick seemed to have a life of its own. Just keeping Tank out there. When Tank tried to slide to the inside, the stick go down, push down on his head to keep him away and pivot out the way. And got Tank underneath the stick. So there's a lot of tricks that Barrios was doing with the stick. One of the things that Tito used to do with his stick, he had a stick right here. You try to come in to clinch, and he would press down like this with a stick. He press down the stick on you. And because a lot of interesting things about Tito. Because Tito got that kind of teeter-totter style, right? Because Tito had that teeter-totter style, it was an irregular rhythm. And he throws a stick in between that. So he got a rhythm, but it's irregular. It's like jittery, like herky jerky, and that was a problem. And the stick would just come out of there, boom, So anyway, so Tank is dealing with that. So when he starts putting the heat, he says, you know what, man, I got to pressure this dude. I saw Floyd do the same thing to Tony Pep. Tony Pep, on the other hand, even though he did have sort of an unpredictable stick, it was slow. Now, the difference between Tony Pep, say, and Mario Barrios, because Tony Pep was a competent boxer. He wasn't no world beater or anything, but he was a competent boxer. Long. The difference is Tony Pep's jabs and stuff was real slow compared to Floyd. Unlike that, Barrios' jabs is real quick and sharp. The problem with Barrios is his legs, his feet. Tank's feet just move much faster than Barrios' feet. Just way quicker. Okay? And you have to have that quickness to be able to stay out of range. And it's not that Barrios didn't have decent speed, it's that his feet let him down. When you really got to do that double step shuffle backwards or that double step to the side, he didn't have it. You understand? And so they got to work on that, and they got to work on his strength and conditioning, get him a little stronger. Again, Tank placed those punches so well. And the other thing he has to deal with is I think for his game to develop his game even further is being able to I guess that's it. I mean, it's just strength conditioning, a little bit more quickness, so I can react quicker enough to a guy who's really fast and get out the way or whatever he's throwing. But other than that, I think that's about it because his fundamentals are so good. His fundamentals are really good. So, and of course, the general understanding what a guy's doing, what's his game plan, because he's trying to close the distance. Once you got a reach advantage on a dude, he got to work his way to you. Somehow he got to close that distance. Whether it's you going to him, or he's countering you, so he gets to go past it, or it is he's coming to you. Either way, you have to do something to close that. Make sure he goes through hellfire to close that distance. He did a great job with it actually with Tank. But here's what Tank did, and this is how Tank was able to get it. So Tank is closing the distance, and Tank does something that smaller fighters don't do enough. And we used to see with Mike Tyson, when you're a small fighter, first thing you got to do is use your height to your advantage. Get low, get under those shots. And Tank was showing us the classical get under those shots, whether it's Henry Armstrong, whether it's Manny Pacquiao, whether it's Colonel Whitaker, whether it's what was that guy? Shoot, that great lightweight champion. Ooh, that Evander Holyfield fought. You get low. You get under the shots because why? Guys are trained to fight at a certain distance. And when you get low, now they got to shoot down. They got to shoot down to you. You see, they got to shoot down to you. And what that does, let me show you. I'm gonna show you from the orthodox stance. If I shoot down on you like this, guess what? It opens me up for. I'm gonna show you from this side. If I shoot down on you like this, what does it open me up for? What does it open this side up for? Right? Right there. Now I'm shooting here. You notice it's not as easy to hit me when I hit me in the top of the head, but you can't really hit me because why? Because this is protected here, my chin. I'm shooting down this way, right? My chin's open. So getting low in boxing is very important. That's why they tell you squat. You got to get your squats in. Colonel Whitaker, master of get down. I squat. I really squat down low. Look where I am. I'm out the screen because I'm squatting. Get low. Tyson, before he throws them left hooks to the body and to the head, the double left hook and the uppercut, right? What did he do? He's on the swivel and he get low. He get low, right? Get low. You small, get low. Pacquiao, same thing, right? Smaller fighters get us to their advantage to be explosive. Tank plenty explosive. So before you can say boo, he's on you, right? So what Tank did to get Barrios was he's putting the heat on him, and in putting the heat on him, Barrios having to maintain that distance and range, he'd have to pepper him with the jab. So he's forcing Barrios to have to elicit the jab. Now I'm not too sure if I saw this right, if Tank bait him to get the left hook, if he bait the jab out. But what Barrios did was he threw the jab and Tank did a leaping left hook over the jab, right? He leaped with the leaping left hook over the jab and he clipped him, right? He clipped him with the with the left hook over the jab, right? And but Tank was at a certain angle. Barrios was just about to pivot out, and as he was pivoting out, Tank decided to do something. I think Tank fainted him. So Barrios was doing feints too throughout the fight. But I think Tank feinted him as if he was going to come in. Barrios popped the jab. That's why I thought he baited. He popped the jab as he was on the pivot, and Tank exploded off the pivot because he got the right angle. He turned into the hook. He got him at the right angle. It was a timing thing. And he leaped and left hooked him, whop, clipped him, and then when he clipped him and he dropped, it was hurt. So that's why he dropped him the second time. The first time he hurt him, the second time was a flash knockdown. So Barrios was able to recoup, and then we saw the slickness of Barrios, how he was getting out of the way, dipping out of the way of the shots, dipping out of the way of the shots. Tank was throwing a lot of shots, wasn't landing nothing, right? Tank was going in for the kill. Barrios knew how to survive. He knew how to dip out of shots and stuff. He wasn't clinching, so he old school kind of like. He wasn't clinching. Now old school doesn't mean you don't clinch, but I'm just saying he was kind of old school. He knew how to dip out of shots. That's another thing you need to know in boxing. I heard him on Pheno Boxing talking about the clinch. And it was interesting hearing guys now talking about you got to know how to clinch in boxing. There's something Everybody in boxing knows. You get hurt, you clinch. That's why I never understood why they were talking about Devin Haney and Devin Haney was clinching. I'm like, yeah, but that's what you're supposed to do. You trying to get your bearings. And if you know that this guy's a mid-range fighter, for example, with my boy, what's his name, Linares, Florian Linares is a mid-range fighter, right? That's what he really do his best work. So I either stay outside of mid-range or I stay inside of mid-range. And it's much more dangerous to be further away from a mid-range fighter than in close and smothering it, right? You want to smother a mid-range fighter. You don't want to be at the end of his punches, right? Especially when you get hurt. So he goes in and he smothers. It's common sense. And he's still fighting. He's still standing in the pocket and fighting him, using spear jabs and stuff. His spear jab was very useful against Linares. Um, but my point being that when you look at these dudes who say, well, uh, you know, uh, Devin was clinching too much. Then just please, unless the ref tell you, oh man, don't do that, excessive clinching. I'm gonna take a point. Unless the ref tells you that, you clinch. All right, that's a part of boxing. Clinching, not hugging. Clinching is a part of boxing. And the thing about a clinch is this: if you can get in to throw a clinch on the way in, you can transition and throw a shot as you're going in for the clinch. Because clinching is a skill that means you have to avoid shots to get in close enough to clinch. Shout out to whoever is there in this channel. Somebody just said something, man. Check the person out. Yo, this thing is so slow. Oh, there we go. This is my live chat. Leroy Kong, man, in the building. I'm trying to get it to move, but everything on here is just real slow right now. So I don't know. Leroy Kong says, hello, I cannot see your face. Great live. You can't see my face. I mean, it's probably in this thing. It's the phone that I have. I'm trying to get a better phone for streaming, but I had to buy a new phone because my other phone went out. But I don't know if you can see me now. You see my face now. All right. I'm trying to break down some really good stuff here for you guys. So, yeah, so Tank feinted him, and as he was pivoting, I think, he tried to throw. That's why I said Mario Barrios, man, he throws jabs. He throws jabs at the right time, and he really throws jabs sometimes at different rhythms. That's why I say you can't read his jab very well. He really has a good jab, and I think that's going to work him. That's going to work very well. But then again, Virgin Hunter is known for jabbing. He trained Andre Ward off the jab and so on. So I expected that from it. Quality fighter. Mario Barrios, as I said before, it will become world champion at 140 again, and probably move on to 147. You're going to hear about this kid a lot more than you think. All right. So, sometimes you get knocked out. It is what it is. But what I'm saying is that a lot of people think of boxing too simplistically. They think because a fighter's walking down another fighter, that means he's winning the fight. No. The only way a fighter walking down another fighter is winning the fight is if both fighters are not landing anything and both fighters have the same similar activity. Then we look at the aggressor and give him points for that. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, it's really, what I mean, walking down a guy don't mean nothing. You have to be effective aggression. All right. Anyway, so Tank was facing Mario Barrios. Good fight. Barrios got rounds on the board. He was handling his stories and stuff. Even down to the time when Tank hit him with a body shot. Barrios just hit him a body shot. Tank countered with a body shot. Beautifully well placed liver shot that put Barrios down. You know what I mean? That Barrios was live all the way through that. And I would have loved to see Barrios make it to the finish line. I think Tank would have still won the fight. I think he was ahead after 2 knockdowns. But or drew even. The momentum of the fight changed when Tank started pressing the action. When you're dealing with a boxer, you got to press the action against the boxer. You got to press it. You got to press him, try to infight him, because a boxer, a really slick, skilled boxer who's got heart and strong and really knows what he's doing in there, it's very hard to beat guys like that. And Tank did an excellent job with a guy much bigger than him, right? Much bigger guy than him. Um, and he did great. His defense was Tank's defense was on point. I mean, even when Barrios caught him in round 9 with that left hook from hell, that was a beautiful left hook, by the way. And Tank rided it. He went with the punch, and again showing you just how high these guys' boxing IQ is. Tank reminded me a little bit of Canelo. I saw bits and pieces of Canelo in it, the precise footwork. He did a lot more movement than Canelo. Canelo was much more nuanced in his movement and much more consistent. Tank was, trying to press the action. But, Tank was being, everybody being hard on Tank, saying, he could have got, even Tank saying to himself, I could have got him out sooner if I knew he was so soft. Meaning, I could have gone to the body a little bit more. And that's what Coach Calvin was telling me. But see, it wasn't that easy because remember, when a guy's throwing jabs, he's throwing body shots, and he's throwing things, and you don't know when he's going to throw because he's really gifted and skilled, and that he knows how to put together stuff so that his timing, you can't read his timing. It's very difficult, and that's the challenge. Barrios was doing some things that I ain't seen a lot of fighters do. Okay, especially how he was handling the ring and circling the ring and even walking down tank and how he was using the ring to his advantage. He was really doing an excellent job of that. Okay, just throwing feints, throwing tank off. Tank. It took a lot out of tank to press him. He said it was tough. He really was tough. And when Tank goes back and actually looks at what Barris was doing, he really truly appreciate that this guy really knows what he's doing. He has really great training. Has trained him. It wasn't that Barrios was soft. He wasn't soft at all. Um, it's that Barrios um, was slower. I think that if Barrios had a little bit more speed, if he had worked on his speed training a little bit more to keep up with Tank, I think this fight would have gone the distance. All right, it would have gone the distance. Which leads us to Tank versus Josh Taylor. Everybody's talking about Tank versus Josh Taylor. I heard one person say that Josh Taylor, he's straightforward. Um, Tank would knock out Josh Taylor. Let me make this fun. Josh Taylor ain't straightforward. There's nothing straightforward about Josh Taylor. Now people talk about he's not disciplined enough. Josh Taylor's strong as fuck. Regis Prograde and Josh Taylor, them are strong guys. Very, very strong guys. And from what I saw how Josh Taylor handled Jose Ramirez, there's a lot of nuance to Josh Taylor. He also uses feints. That boy can do it all. I mean, he's an excellent inside fighter. For a big, tall guy like that, Josh Taylor is supremely skilled on the inside. So when Tank gets on the inside, he's going to have to handle the strength, the physical strength of Josh Taylor. That's another thing that married Barrios. Beautiful boxing. But I really was looking forward to him imposing his weight and size on Tank a little bit more. I think that's a critique that Uncle Robert, shout out to Uncle Robert on his channel, I think that's a critique that I agree with. You use your size. I mean, Tank looked physically really, really strong in there, but still, you want to walk that guy, you want to clinch him and walk him to the ropes. You want to do that. That's one way to wear down a fighter, not make them as crisp and sharp as they should be. You want to hold them and turn them if they're walking you down, so you got more space. And I'm gonna tell you this: Josh Taylor does all these things. Josh Taylor uses every single trick in the book to impose his size, his strength, his will. He's also got good power, as we all know. Regis Prograde also got good power, and these are bigger guys. And I would love to see Tank go up against those guys. That's going to be a different challenge of a different caliber. Um, Now, some people say Tank gonna stop Josh Taylor. I don't know about that, bro. Josh Taylor knows a lot too much in boxing for me to just think that Tank just gonna stop him. And Tank beat him. I gotta think about that because Taylor's got decent speed. He's got decent power. Um, he's got decent footwork. He could be a little scrappy at times, but it's because he's very physical. Sometimes he can be rough and rugged in there. If Josh Taylor thinks he's losing the fight, he hits you a low blow just to kind of quiet you down. Um, Taylor's not easy. Taylor's not an easy fighter to fight, and he's southpaw. Both Regis Prograde and Taylor are southpaw, so Tank doesn't have the southpaw advantage at all. That would be a good fight. That would be a good fight for Tank. That would be a good test for Tank. I would suggest that Tank face another 140 pounder, particularly maybe a rematch with Pedraza first, or maybe Robert Easter Jr. or who's another 140 pounder. Maybe even Jose, maybe even Jose Ramirez. You know, or Victor Postol, a strong, big, long 140 pounder who has experience, been a champion, knows what they're doing in there. You want somebody like that. You want somebody who's a little bit rough and rugged too. Maybe but this kid's at 135 though. The Dominican Republican kid, uh, Javier Fortuna, like a Javier Fortuna, like rough and rugged kind of kid. He still knock out Javier Fortuna, but just to feel that rough and rugged feeling because Josh Taylor's rough and rugged, and he big, he's strong, he's tall. You know what I'm saying? He's rough and rugged, and if you can't handle rough and rugged, I mean Mario Barrios, he was he wasn't rough and rugged. He was skilled, he was crafty, he was slick, he was smooth, he was you know. But Josh Taylor is rough and rugged. He rough and rugged, especially on the inside. You know, he get you in the clinch. He's gonna rough you up. He's gonna bump you with the shoulder. He go right out of the clinch. He's gonna try and hit you. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna try and hook you up off the break. So you gotta be a vicious animal to deal with Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor's no easy guy. He grimy. You know, he's skilled and he's rough and rugged. So that combination. And he can be finesse filled as well. It's quite a challenge for a Tank. I mean, Tank would. I think Tank could win, but for me that would be a 50-50 fight. I don't know who would win. I don't know who would win. I'm being honest with you guys. I'm just thinking about it, assessing the situation with Josh Taylor. And Josh Taylor is not what you think he is. He's a beast. Okay? Josh Taylor's a beast. He have a mean streak in him. You can see the little sneer in his face. You see when showdowns come, he be talking that trash. He be talking that heat because he got that vicious streak in him. And he you can see Josh Taylor. He don't mind. He can do a low blow or elbowing you. He don't have a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? He's rough and rugged. Finesseful, but rough and rugged at the same time. Regis Prograis, that's a beast as well. I would love to see Tank against Regis Prograis. I would love to see Tank against Josh Taylor. That would just quiet everybody. I could see a Prograis fight coming up over the horizon because that's a PBC fighter. That's going to be easier to make. The Taylor fight may be a little bit harder because I think Taylor, though he's with Frank Warren, I think he kind of had that little co-promotion thing with Top Rank right there. I don't know. Making a top rank fight ain't that easy. You know what I mean? It's not that easy. Um, so that A side thing always become a problem. Deontay Wilder going into this fight with Tyson Fury, he's not gonna be the A side. You know what I'm saying? He's not gonna be the A side. Tyson Fury beat him. So he take whatever Tyson Fury's terms are and whatever Tough Guy's terms are, and they probably be fighting at ESPN joint Fox probably. But I would like to see that though. I would like to see Tank versus those guys. Legitimate. But you never know. What's up the pipe? We'll see with Tank. We're hearing Ryan Garcia fight. That's another fight that it's a very good fight. Ryan Garcia. A lot of people don't know him from the amateurs. If you go pull up any Ryan Garcia fight in the amateurs, and you'll see this kid slick like slick. The boy's slick. All right. Ryan Garcia always been slick. He just got more pop and power since he got into the pros. He's beast strong, as you saw. Luke Campbell knocked him down, and he was unfazed. He just got back up. I mean, that was a clean knockdown, right? The dude just got back up and started walking Luke Campbell down like if it was nothing, right? So people don't know Ryan is a big, big lightweight. Like he's huge. It takes a lot for him to stay in shape and stay at that weight. He's a big. Ryan Garcia is probably Tank is probably going to end up. He's got the size to be a small junior middleweight, right? Ryan Garcia could go all the way up to light heavyweight like Canelo. Ryan Garcia's got that body. He's got that frame to go all the way up to light heavyweight. Ryan Garcia's gonna be a big name in boxing. Okay, y'all gonna be talking about Ryan Garcia for a long time. Um, that boy's a beast, and he's still learning. Okay, and then you got so Tank versus Ryan would be a huge fight, and you gotta bear in mind Ryan's faster, quicker, sharper than Mario Barrios. Can do more things than Mario Barrios. Okay, and he's long. I think he's taller and longer than Mario Barrios. Okay, so think about that. Put those factors into consideration when you're talking about Tank versus Ryan Garcia. He's fast as fuck. He's quick, and he does a lot of things that people do not appreciate. It's not just his speed; it's how he sets up his shots. It's the kind of fighting, what he does when he's walking you down, how he uses his defense and puts his defense together. Y'all don't really see those things. Yeah, okay, Luke Campbell caught him with a nice, beautiful left hook in the middle of his pressing. Luke Campbell is stepping back. No doubt about it. But don't get it twisted. This boy can really, really box. And it's unfortunate that, you still didn't really see what put him under pressure like that. He been put under pressure in early fights, but not like that. With the Luke Campbell fight, you think Luke Campbell hit him with his best punch, money punch, Luke left. That's something that Luke Campbell knock out guys would put him down, whatever. And he just kept on coming, right? Um, that's because Ryan's way bigger. He's a huge light. He's a huge guy as a lightweight. That's why he can take those punches. He know them. None of them guys can really phase him or hurt him. Tank got that pop that can go all the way up to 140. You know that. Does Tank have enough pop to really face Ryan Garcia? Ryan Garcia's a big, strong guy, man. So it's like you have to think about all these factors when you're talking about Tank versus Ryan Garcia. I'm telling you, it's gonna be a big fight. And again, I'm not really sure who would win. And a lot of people say, well, Ryan keeps his chin up in the air, that's why he gets caught. Not really. In this case, Ryan's you're an orthodox fighter, right? And this is something, it's a money punch that catches almost all orthodox. You're pressing the action, so your guards are big down. Okay? The guy comes with a counter punch, a leaping left hook, your chin's open. It's out there. Okay? So you get caught with it. Muhammad Ali used to get caught with those shots. Any boxer. One of the kryptonites to boxers is sometimes they don't keep the phone there. The phone, they don't keep the phone on well, whatever, cell phone, whatever. They don't keep it right here. So what happens is on the side, you get clipped. So what happened was one of them talked about his chin up in the air. He just didn't have his guard there. He was just like he was here, right? He was here. He's like this, right? And so he's in a position where his chin can get hit. I mean, when you're on the offensive, it's easier for you to get hit, right? Everybody knows this. So that's why Pacquiao keeps on getting hit, because he's on the offensive. Lomachenko got dropped because he was on the offensive. Floyd gets tapped when he's on the offensive, right? That's just what it is. It's a risk you're taking. And usually everything's not always there. You're not always perfectly guarding your chin. And if the guy's got good timing, he clips you, especially with the left hook. Okay, the left hook, that's why the left hook works so well. It's because guys are not protecting certain areas of the body. If it were protecting certain areas of the body, they wouldn't get knocked out. Michael Callum was a guy that kept his, no matter what he was doing, he was right here, right? Um, so, anyways, my point being that he got clipped, okay? Um, Eddie Reynoso, if he thought it was a problem that Ryan didn't keep his chin tucked all the time, he does keep his chin tucked sometimes, but he doesn't keep it all the time. He would make the adjustment to it. I don't think it's a big issue because he's a big, tall, long guy, first of all, and then second of all, he does tuck it when it's necessary. But people make a big deal out of it. I do understand that if you leave your chin up in the air, it keeps you more exposed to get hit on it. But you have to know when. Like everything in boxing, it's a timing thing. So when you can have it out there, and you can focus on your offense and keep a guy thinking defense, and so on. So you got to know when. You look at even Devin Haney, and not everybody they fighting all the time with a chin tuck down there. I mean, come on now. That's an important thing, but not all the time you have your chin tucked. No, Mayweather used to keep his chin tucked all the time, right? And then when you're goading in a guy, you're baiting him. Here's my chin. Here's my chin. Right? You're baiting him in so you can throw something to counter him. You don't keep your chin tucked, right? So, yeah, I mean, it's a rule, but you got to understand what these rules are. You got to understand what you're doing in boxing. A lot of times people think it's a hell fast rule. It's not hell fast. You know what I mean? But it's good to keep your chin tucked because then you can't get it butt. But then you could get hit in the top of the head and be like, oh, you know what I mean? Instead of just the chin. All right, so yeah, so Tank versus Ryan Garcia, that's a good fight as well. I cannot predict the winner. I try to predict the winner because when I think about what these guys bring to the table, I just want to see it play out so I can know. A lot of people think the Tank will knock out Ryan Garcia. I ain't never seen Ryan Garcia get knocked out, first of all, in the amateurs or the pros. I seen Ryan Garcia give Devin Haney some work. Okay, and Devin Haney's a very good fighter as well. And we saw Devin Haney get caught. Of course, he did fall, but he got caught with a four-piece combination actually. And he stumbled off to his corner. So I mean, we've seen different people. We've seen Tio look bad, right? We've seen Tio Nakatani, who Lomachenko just washed out of there. We saw Nakatani land right hands over Teofimo Lopez's guard. So there are things for the fighters to work on. Ryan's gonna have to work on some stuff. Tank didn't look so good against Gamboa. He gonna have to work on some stuff. Got tying you up, clinching you. What do you do? How do you free yourself, getting to lay him out flat, especially if you got him hurt? Um, we've seen, we see some of these big fighters not look so great. Shakur Stevens sometimes he gets into robotic mode and just doing the same things over and over, and the other guy doesn't seem to figure him out, so he just keeps doing the same thing. He don't make no more adjustments. He said that's sufficient for me to win the fight, and that's that. And sometimes that can be boring, especially if you're just doing the same thing over and over. I saw it for Chris Colbert versus King Tug. King Tug, Chris was just popping the jab all the time. He was just popping the jab, going southpaw sometimes, popping the jab this way, then he popped the jab this way, right? And that was great. I mean, but it got a little bit monotonous at a certain point. But I mean, it was great nonetheless to see him and just how surgical he was throwing those jabs. See, the thing about it is, what I like about boxing is you can admire certain things, and then that's why I say if a lot of you guys are boxing fans actually box or try to box, you would find it much more interesting than if you're just sitting down there trying to be entertained. And that's the difference I feel between a casual fan and a hardcore boxing fan. A hardcore boxing fan doesn't just want to know boxing history and all that. You actually want to do it, or you've actually done it. And to me, that's where the fun of boxing actually comes in. Otherwise, it's just like any other fucking contact sport, as far as I'm concerned. You know, so um, you know, with the sport, when you saw Chris Colbert throwing those jabs. By the way, I did not put a review of Chris Colbert versus King Tug. I'm gonna do that. It was a good fight. It was more clinical. Chris was still trying to throw the right hand, but he wasn't really doing a lot. He was just throwing the right hand, mostly looping the right hand, trying to arc that right hand over King Tug's shoulder. I guess he watched the Gary Russell Jr. He saw that. He threw a couple of body shots as well. King Tug though handled the stories, showed he was tough. Moved up 130, moved up a new weight class because this dude was like, fuck it, yeah, look, it's a fight. You know what I'm saying? And he really put it together. Really good stuff by both guys. Both came out okay. Nobody got knocked down. Nobody got knocked out, but it was more clinical than anything else. Covert also showing his hand speed. Lots of combinations and stuff. Tug taking a lot of punishment sometimes, but again, showing you durability, showing you strength, trying to get in there. Not really throwing a lot of jabs, but throwing lead rights, and trying to work the body every now and then. But Chris would ride punches and stuff. So it was more of a technical fight than I thought it was going to be a real fight. And Chris kept basically Tug off balance most of the fight. In the center of the ring, when it was on the ropes, Chris tried to counter punch off the ropes, turn, keep Tug, tie him up, whatever he had to do. So it was not as exciting as I thought. I was really excited to see the fight. Wasn't excited as I thought, but it was still entertaining for me. Just showing you the textbook of just how pure his jabs are, just how beautiful, how well timed, how quick. That was a feature. The feature of the night was the jab. The jab was the key thing. Chris would go southpaw to orthodox. A little showboating here and there. King took a little showboating back at him. You know, but just skill. It was a skill fight, so I enjoyed it. Um, which reminds me, I was looking at my boy Jojo Diaz, and Jojo Diaz is gonna be taking on Javier Fortuna. This boy is a bad boy. I mean, he takes on all the ugly fighters, anything. He takes them on. You know what? This man should have been world champion a number of times before. Okay, they gave the decision to the supposedly A-side fighter, and Adam Lopez is another good one, even though he lost his last fight. Um, And these guys are starting off their careers. Sometimes like Adam Lopez, he's losing fights and stuff. But I really hope that Adam gets. Hopefully, he's evolving as a fighter as well. Gets the W's he's supposed to get because these guys are just really good fighters. They're really really good fighters. Um, and JoJo, he don't get the credit he really deserves. I mean, JoJo, that boy he could really box. And I was watching his training, how precise and how specific his training was, and just the stuff, the combinations he throws and stuff, and it just and the defense that he has as well. It's just exceptional. And sadly, he lost his belt on the scales. But those kinds of guys, man, they're really special. They're really special. He should have been a superstar. He should have been one of the top echelon fighters. Yeah, he's not a cracker. He don't hit with, he don't have one hit or quitter power. But I mean, he should have been a superstar. This kid just got so much boxing knowledge, so much skill he's sitting on, and I just hope he works on his craft and just really focuses and dials in on his craft completely, like because he really got it. He's got that boxing mind. He's got that science to him. And just the way how he trains and everything is different. The stuff that I see him put together and stuff. David, I was looking at Benavidez training as well, and Benavidez is just getting better and better. And he's doing so many things off the jab now. He's putting everything off the jab, and it's just beautiful to see how the science of the jab and what he's doing with the jab. So, you know, um, I just wanted to share that with you guys because I want to set the record straight on certain things. I hear certain people say certain things, and they're really opinions. Like you watch a fight, and if you want to talk about your opinions of a fight, that's one thing. But it's another thing when you're looking at certain things and you don't know what you're seeing, and you're calling it, and it's not correct. Like there's no way in hell you could tell me that Mario Barrios was throwing a predictable jab, straight predictable jab, and that's why Tank was able to time it and hook off. That's not what happened. It's just not what happened, And when you put things in such a simplistic way, you really denigrate the skills and abilities of fighters today. All right, and one of the things, for example, Manny Pacquiao. I remember I used to say, Manny Pacquiao. No, Manny Pacquiao would bait a guy. He would draw you into throwing a punch, so he could counter you, and he'd tell you where to throw it. You do like this, right? He'd tell you, hit me, hit me, hit me, right? And even when you see an opponent throwing a whole set of punches at Pacquiao, right? They're throwing a whole set of punches at him. It's a bait. He's setting a trap for you, right? And a lot of people don't understand baiting and trap sets and all those things. So they always feel that, oh yeah, yeah, this guy is very predictable. No, you make a guy predictable, especially a difficult fighter. You make him predictable. And how do you go about doing that? How did Floyd go about making Pacquiao look the way he did? There were things he was doing to make that happen. So if you don't understand that part of boxing, that what we call bait and counter, if you don't understand that part of boxing, you always gonna miss the boat because you don't understand the beauty of the fun in science is setting up a guy. It's not just setting him up for a KO. It's also setting him up to be countered, which is what causes a KO. A KO artist sets up a guy for certain shots as well, right? Bait and counter. So you want to get a guy confident in there, overconfident, so his defense will have some holes, so you can pop him. I remember Marcus McDonald versus Floyd Mayweather. Beautiful setup. I think it was his third round, where Floyd second fight, where Floyd was constantly pull countering Marcus McDonald, but Marcus McDonald was setting it up so Floyd would pull counter and pull counter and pull, and you seen the look enough. He knew the timing, and he bait him. And once he bait Floyd, right? How do you bait Floyd? So with jab, and come behind the jab with the two. So he came with the 1-2, right? Boom, crack, right? I remember Sergey Kovalev versus Andrew Ward. How Sergey Kovalev set up Ward with the jab to bait him, so that he bait Ward with the jab. Ward was out of position, and Sergey Kovalev knew that because he was circling with him, and he knew, okay, Ward's going to be here. He set him up. He set him up to hit him with that two down the center. He didn't catch him flush because Ward was a little too close to him, but it was a setup. All All right, and you have to understand that KOs don't just come like that. You set up a guy for KO, generally speaking. You have to set up guys with counters. It's chess. And if you just apply that same principle, not just to KOs, for the KO artists, you apply it to plays. Now you can start thinking about what you want this guy to do rounds down the road, just like how you set up a KO. The same way, but instead of setting it up and just depending on your power to put a guy down, what you're actually doing also is you're bit by bit breaking him down. So you start working the body, working the body, catch and shoot, right? You catch him, shoot back, right? And little things like um, small things, all things. Where do you put your body in the ring? As you're circling, you're watching his foot, you're watching how he circles and how he chip circles, or whether he makes slides or whether he bounces, whatever he does, you're watching to see where his position in the ring is. Yes, you're also observing the little traits and things that he does, which are flaws in his game, but you also want to know what his position is, because at the end of the day, it's about getting the guy out of position to get him, right? And if you can do that more frequently, you're up in the game, right? So I'm just saying, right? I know it's not as easy as that, and a lot of times it's sort of it's built in your DNA to do these things. But that's how you prepare. You're preparing for counters. You need to know how to counterpunch. You also need to know how to lead when nobody's doing nothing, otherwise you're gonna be bored. So that's what it is about boxing, man. I just thought I would share that with you guys. I see some people come through, show some love. That's good. This is what you need in the building. I'm gonna catch you guys later. Let me leave you guys with a piece of scripture with this. Trying to go back to basics, you know what I mean? By the way, shout out, much love to Troy Killertainment. Troy Killertainment, that's a bad boy. And I've been watching his channel of late, and he really sort of inspires me to try and walk in a better way. Um, and like you said, in the boxing business, it's all love. It's all love in the boxing business. And I just want to show some love to some people out there. Now, there's another guy that came to my channel that I was supposed to host recently, but we are, of course, different time zone. And he wanted to talk to me about how Lomachenko will beat Tank. So we will have that little debate soon enough. I've also invited Uncle Robert, who watches my channel, to my channel to check it out as well. I hope he does. He says how he learned so much from me in private and blah, and says, even though we debate, I learned a lot from you, and that's cool. I mean, let me say this: I learned a lot from you too. Throwing certain things and certain shots and stuff. So it's all well and good, man. All well and good in the neighborhood. It's all love up in here. We not people who hate nobody. We're just here to try and boost the sport, make it better. And I think Uncle Rubber, if you guys haven't checked out his channel, go check it out. Uncle Rubber, type in Uncle Rubber there. You should find on YouTube, or you can check him. It's one of the people I subscribe to. And different people feel that I've heard people say over and over again, bro, if people don't agree with your opinion, that you know, you seem to have a problem with them, and blah blah blah. I'm like, no, Ninja, I just talk truth though. So some of the things I'm telling you is factual. When it's my opinion, I'll tell you it's my opinion, right? But other things I'm telling you because people in boxing actually say that. I'm talking about people in boxing like boxers, trainers, those kinds of people. Coach Eric Pratt, Troy Killer Entertainment, David Benavidez. All these guys validate what I'm saying because I'm not telling you nothing that comes from me. This is not what you need's knowledge. It's from boxing. So when I start telling you guys about boxing, now I can tell you my opinion. I do tell you my opinion, like my opinion on whether Tank would be, for example, Lomachenko would be opinion, but it would always be based on factual information. So that's the difference. That's why you guys mix it up. Like I'm giving an opinion, right? But I always try to give an opinion that's from factual information and something that you can look at in a logical way. So I break down things. When I break down things or I break down fights and how I think fights would happen and how they unfold, it's because because I'm looking at what the fighters do. I'm looking at how they train. I look at what their skills and their gifting is, and then I come to a conclusion in a logical way. Okay, but a lot of y'all, some people, man, you can tell when people are fans of certain things. Like they can't separate fandom from excellence. I'll give you an example. So I've been on so many different channels, and some channels they feel to be impartial means you got to criticize everybody and say negative things about everybody. No, you don't have to. I'm a fan of Manny Pacquiao. Okay, I'm a fan of Canelo Alvarez. Everybody knows this, right? But it's because also I talk about them a lot, not just because I'm a fan of Canelo or a fan of Manny Pacquiao. I'm a fan of David Benavidez. I follow David Benavidez. I'm a fan of Jamal Charlo. I'm a fan of Demetrius Andre. I'm a fan of Billy Joe Saunders. Even now, Billy Joe Saunders who punked out a guy and he crashed his bike into a thing, and it's funny as hell. I'm a fan of these guys because these guys got exceptional abilities and skills, and I like it. And I want to add some of those skills and abilities to my game, especially the southpaws like Billy Joe Saunders. Um, Demetrius Andre. You got Erislandy Lara. All the Southpaws. Tank. Um, Josh Taylor. All those guys are Southpaws. So I would be looking at them, right? So I'm just saying this to try and get people to understand Lomachenko even. He's a Southpaw. And I watch his footwork. So I study these guys. Okay? It's not just being a fan. So when I talk to you, I talk in a sort of forensic way because I've been watching these guys. I've been following these guys. I've been watching them. So I'm not talking from just a fan perspective and an emotional perspective. When I talk about Floyd Mayweather, it's because I study the dude. I keep on watching him. I watch how he do certain things. That's why I can tell you what Canelo be doing that this Floyd like. I can tell you what Canelo be doing as James Toney like. I can tell you what Canelo be doing as that's like a Sugar Ray Robinson, what Sugar Ray Robinson would do, or etc. Because you got to understand that boxing is not just encapsulated with one individual. It's a series of different things and a series of different experiences. And somebody might take a little bit of this, a little bit of this, a little bit of this, and add it to their style. All right. And again, not to knock on the old time greats, but I know that the new time greats, they're much more defensively minded than the old time greats were. And boxing evolved to a point where guys are very tactical about what they do, even when they're a brawler or they're this or they're that. They're still keeping that defense tight as they do what they do because there's more tools in the tool bag today, I believe, than yesterday. All right, and so this is the thing, and people are nostalgic about it, but I know because I actually have to do these things. I actually, when I'm training or when I'm trying to put myself together, I'm actually trying to do those different things. Just try it out in my head at least, or try it out for my body. You know what I'm saying? I know that I'm not really, how do I say? I'm just playing around with the sport a little bit, so I try different things. But the hardcore training, the hardcore stuff, I try to do that too, right? But I'm just saying, just thinking about it and also actually doing it is what makes the sport open up to you and you begin to see it in a different way. And I've heard it time and time again. When people actually start to box or they actually start to do the training, they begin to see the sport totally differently to when they're just sitting down analyzing things, armchair expert, and because they don't know what the fuck they be watching, right? So, no disrespect to nobody, but I like to clarify things. I like to say, hey, man, you think you saw that, but that's not really what was happening. I'm gonna show you what was happening. And I still do it in a simplified way. Some guys will break it down, literally tell you what this guy be doing, what his actual movement was that opened up the door for this guy, what this guy was seeing, and all of that stuff. They would actually break it down in real, like crystal clear detail, what was going on as they saw it, you know. But you hear the fighters actually say that Tank told us, "Oh, this guy jab, his jab was a problem." I had to press the action to try and get him out of his rhythm and out of his jab. Like I couldn't read the jab all the time. And that's what I'm trying to tell y'all. Tank actually said that. Okay, Tank actually said that. That's how we know he ain't got a straightforward jab. He ain't just a guy going bop, bop, bop. He's not doing that. He's doing something different. So once again, all right, Respect to everybody in the boxing community. It's not my way; it's the right way. I have opinions just like everybody else. Okay, everybody got opinions, but I try to give you an informed opinion based off of factual information about information that's said in the media, information that's said in the news. When people came out again, Uncle Robert came out on Facebook group and he was chastising Floyd for being in the corner. We go and we see the epilogue and we realize Floyd is part of the corner and they appreciate and welcome Floyd's contribution to the corner, which is why he was allowed that leeway to do what he was doing, say what he was saying. There was an extra pair of eyes in there. You know what's that when your promoter is an extra pair of eyes for you and he was a guy that could see a lot of stuff in that ring? Are you crazy? Now, I noticed also Floyd didn't overstep his boundaries. All he did was give him an update and like, dude, this is your position in the fight according to the unofficial scorecards, which I thought was really fair. Made Tank kick in another gear. I heard fighters praise Tank for that. I heard um, actually Ego Boxing, which I don't really watch a lot of. Ego Boxing actually pointed it out as well. He's not really a boxer, but nonetheless, being around boxing, whatever. And it's true. Floyd caught a put an extra little fire, a little pep under Tank to get that knockout in the 11th. You know what I'm saying? Because he had already dropped him in the eighth, right, twice. So he made him press even further, and I think that also sort of tilted the scales a little bit. And he's just a promoter, he's just giving them information. And like I said before, you got to set the record straight because the people involved, if they ain't got a problem with that, why are you having a problem with that unless you're jealous? You have a vitriol in you against this dude. You don't like him. Something about his personality maybe rub you the wrong way. Whatever it is, I think y'all don't give this dude a fair shake. Y'all don't. He do things differently. He do things on his terms. He just does things on his timing, and y'all don't like that. You resent that. But when you forensically look back at it, you be like, "But what did he do that was wrong?" The people, the parties involved weren't having a problem with it. So what was the problem? You know? And there's this hate thing. Everybody like to hate on the dude. So that's why I talk about it. And y'all say, "Oh, you a fanboy? You like?" I'm a fan of Floyd. Absolutely. I don't think he's the greatest thing since sliced bread in everything. I'm not like that. But at the end of the day, if you misrepresent certain things, you do not get to appreciate the gems inside of those things that you miss because you are criticizing something you should not be criticizing. And that is my note to Uncle Robert and to anybody else. If you talk about Roberto Duran, for example, it's almost like Duran can't do no wrong. But we seen Duran get beat. And we seen him get beat by boxers. We seen him get beat by guys with good footwork, right placement in the ring, and they know their distance, their range. They know this guy's an infighter. He gonna come to them, and then they gonna piece him up and pivot. All right, you piece him up, pivot him. Duran's easy work. And I'm not saying he's easy work, but I'm just saying. And of course, Robert being a big Duran fan wants to show us the merits of Duran and a lot of things, and Duran brings a lot to the table. Let me just tell you, he's a powerhouse. He is a bad motherfucker. And of course, the pull counters, the bait and counter. Bait and counter. Duran was just a master at that. That's how he closed his distance. Bait and counter. Then he bully you on the inside. Had beautiful head movement. He ride with your body. So if your body was doing one thing, his head's up in your chest, sort of like, but he's also watching you for uppercuts and stuff to get out the way of it. Moving, beautiful head movement. He moved with your body. So how your body moves, he moved with it. Beautiful stuff, right? More of a, like Edwin Viewert would say, he was more of a banger than he really was a boxer. Very aggressive. He did incorporate boxing in his skills and beautiful boxing, but more of a banger. So once he got on the inside, he rough you up, you know, and throw his body shots, lovely combinations to throw on the inside. Once Duran got on the inside of you, you know, that's where he piece you up. That's where he do his most of his work. And he also maul you a little bit. But Virat said, because Edwin Virat, not Adolfo, Edwin, boxed him, and Edwin said he crewed. He crewed. He's easy work. Edwin pieced him up twice. Never got the decision. It's cool. But no disrespect to Durant. He's a great fighter, right? But what I'm saying is that people don't like when I say that because it's like, but Floyd, yeah, Floyd can be beat. Floyd everybody can get beat. You know, it's just that you got to bring certain skills to the table, and that's where I said Floyd's, greater than Durant in the sense that Floyd never left nothing to chance. Like Durant would come into fights having blown up to 200 something pounds. That was never gonna happen with Floyd. Like he never left those things to chance. Could his ass be beat by somebody? I'm pretty sure he could have been. Could have been. Anything can happen in boxing, right? Anything can happen in boxing, but it didn't. And because it didn't, y'all need to learn something from that. Stop hating on the guy and learn from it. What did he do that he didn't get beat by somebody? That's the key here. All right? And y'all make so much fucking excuses. You'll never get anywhere if you make excuses. Oh, the judges and the guys weren't that good. No, man, you got to learn from the experience so you can actually dig into it deeper. What made Durant successful? If you don't know what that is, oh, he just was just a brawler back here. Durant, he didn't have no good footwork. Then you're not gonna learn from Durant. And we came into boxing. If you come into boxing, you started trying boxing stuff. You gotta pick up things. And Durant was a bad boy. I love how he changed his angles. He sidestepped a guy so that the guy's over here now. He's out of range. He throw those T angles in there as well. The infighting stuff. Beautiful, explosive, strong, fast. I love how you get those body shots off. All right. When it comes to inside fighting, Durant was your man. He was your guy. You know, and he was rough and rugged. Um, that's what Durant's forte, by the way, was. A lot of people don't know. Durant wasn't an outboxer. He ain't gonna pick you off on the outside. Now, he do what he do to get entry to fight you on the inside. He's infighter, and a unique infighter. Most infighters come off their jab, get to the inside, body to body. Nah, Durant was an aggressive inside fighter. So he catch you with a counter, hurt you, and they get to the inside and start working that body and wrestling you and physically manhandling you and taking you apart. When you start throwing things, his head is in your chest like Armstrong almost. Not the same technique, but nonetheless like Armstrong. But he was much more aggressive, much more vitriolic, working that body, breaking you down. That's how he got his knockouts. Well, not a one-hitter quitter. I mean, he dropped some guys with some punches, but he wasn't really a one-hitter quitter. You know what I mean? So, he had a hell of a chin. Um, Julio Cesar Chavez made him so great. Besides leading with either hand, didn't really have any tremendous, quickness or punching power. Deliberate, consistent, break you down to the body. Beautiful catch and shoots. Lead with either hand. Stepping in. You know, um, you try to dip into a shot like Gennady Golovkin. Beautiful, like laser sort of radar placement of stuff. Underrated defense. Not a great defensive fighter, but underrated defense. He took a lot of shots, but he was tough. He was rugged. It wasn't so much rugged. He was, he was physical. He could be vitriolic, but he was physical because he's an inside fighter. That's what he do. He's an inside fighter. Yeah, he did box Jose Ramirez on the outside because he realized I can't fuck with this dude. But for the most part, again, he was inside fighter. That's when he did his best work. Broke it down to the body. When you think about it, what made these guys so successful? Why they got their guys out of there? Because their condition was great, and they broke a guy down to the body. That's what they did. They realized body work, body work, body work, body work, and they were really intense on going to the body. Did they mix it up with the head? Obviously, because if they don't, they get hit to the head, right? One of the risks of going to the body is you can get hit up top. So they had, you look at most great Mexican fighters today. You look at Canelo, you look at Jojo Diaz, if you look at Jose Ramirez, the other Jose Ramirez, the younger one, the one today. You look at Jose Benavidez, all good body punches. You gotta go to the body. You have to go to the body, otherwise, I mean, So I just want to talk about Jojo Diaz a little bit because I think that underrated boxer, really a guy that is a lot of ability, lots of skill. Not always the most consistent guy, but when it comes to fighting, man, he always give you a fight. You know what I mean? He always give you a fight, and basically all the fights that he lost, he could have very easily have won. You know, when you think about Jojo Diaz, you know, that was just a special Golden Boy fighter. Yeah, he didn't have the one hitter quitter power. You know, y'all like to talk about that all the time. He's a beast though. He's a beast. And you know what's the thing? When you don't have one hitter quitter power, it means you got to develop your all round game. And there's very few fighters like Tank who have an all round game. Again, Tank don't get credit for that. But I have all round game. You know what I mean? So Lomachenko, great fighter, but limited fighter. Like I always try to explain to people, Lomachenko, his problem is that he really fight at mid range. He's a mid range fighter. You put him out of his element, you start fighting him from range. You start fighting him on the inside, and it's totally different game. It's totally different game. You take away his preferred range, just like with Manny Pacquiao. You take away their preferred range, and all of a sudden they're ordinary. And that's what Floyd did to Pacquiao. Lopez pretty much did that early on in the fight with Lomachenko. Right? He took away his preferred range, kept on facing him, and he couldn't do nothing about it. Shut him down, and then he, you know, in the 12th round, he really turned it back up again. Um, so, like I said before, I expect Teofimo Lopez to beat Lomachenko. If Lomachenko tries to be too aggressive, or he tries to be aggressively going at Tio, he's gonna get knocked out. Tio gonna stop, right? So he still has to be cautious. He still has to be smart about it, and he has to try and figure out a way to make it a war. He's gonna have to go through fire to get to Tio. And even when he does, just remember Tio still could greet him with something on the inside. And from what I see, even in an all-out war or bang-out, Tio gonna get better. Tio's just way too strong for Lomachenko. He's gonna knock him out and knock him out bad. So I don't see any other alternative. If Lomachenko comes stronger, he, I mean, that's just a style that he can't handle. You know, like I said, young gun stunner. Dude's sharp, fast, quick, got pop. You gonna knock him out. If you try to go aggressive and hard like Teal would, you gonna get knocked out. You have to do something extra, and I don't think Loma has. There are things you can do, but I don't think he has that within himself to be able to do it. I could think of a couple of things he could do that would sort of kind of change the tempo of the fight, but I'm not gonna say them because I want Teal to whoop his ass again. But there are things you can do in boxing to 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 make a fight different, to change an outcome. Um, if the other fighter is not up to it, because it's all about making adjustments. So that's what I got for you guys, man. What you need in the building. Hope you guys had a good week so far. Um, kind of just went through Chris Colbert versus King Tug, so I think I won't do a review on that. Um, Looking forward to the upcoming fights. Um, with Errol Spence versus Manny Pacquiao, I got Errol Spence. Errol Spence gonna beat Pacquiao. I'm pretty sure about that now. But love Pacquiao though. I love Pacquiao. If Pacquiao wins, man, I'll be happy. I won't say no. I won't be sad, but they got a couple of things working against him with Errol, and a lot of people feel that Errol's slow or he's flat-footed. Errol's not flat-footed. Errol, when he's coming forward, when he's fighting you, he fights flat-footed to get most of his leverage. But Errol's light on his feet, and all you got to do is watch him versus Mike Garcia, or watch him against Danny Garcia. See, he's light, very light on his feet. It's like a cat, and his pivot work. His pivot work is the difference. I mean, it doesn't really matter. The key is to get the angle. So if you got good pivot work, it really don't matter if you're flat footed or not. I think Joe Louis as a perfect example. His pivot work is just super blind. You know, that makes a big difference. Especially when a guy's had to come to you and you can cut that angle really quick. Anyways, people, I'm gonna catch you guys later. What you need in the building. Now what you need. Oh yeah, I said I was gonna give you guys the description. I read yesterday, I don't talk about yesterday's on, was Ezekiel 40, which was talking about Moab and its destruction. So apparently, the word I get today is from Psalms 82, and it says God uh, basically rules over the heavens and pronounces judgment on the judges of the earth. But man judges, how long will you hand down unjust decisions? How long will you shower special favors on the wicked? Give fair judgment to the poor and to the orphan, and uphold the rights of the oppressed and destitute. Rescue the poor and helpless, and deliver them from the grasp of evil people. These oppressors know nothing, man. They're ignorant because they're in darkness. The whole world is shaken to the core. I say, you are God's, children of the Most High, but you will die as mere men. You will fall as any prince, for all must die. Rise up, O God, and judge the earth, for all nations belong to you. Yeah, it's a different version. It's not King James version, but nonetheless, no matter how high and powerful you think you are, and you feel you can do whatever you want in terms of mistreating people, judgment will come back on it. It always will. So when you get a lot of power, please use your power for good, for the betterment of people, not just the betterment of yourself. So all I gotta say for now, what you need.